All right, this lecture is going to be on myofascial training, which is kind of this really cool topic to talk about because a lot of people want to learn about myofascial training. They hear it on the news, they read it in magazines. So it's really important that you all understand what myofascial training is. It's not just foam rolling, it's not just taking a TheraBand or a ball and putting it behind you and rubbing it, right? Myofascial training actually involves a certain type of movement pattern, and it involves knowing exactly what the myofascial lines are and how we can incorporate that into our actual training, not just kind of release of the myofascia. So what is myofascial training? It's training the myofascial lines with whole body exercises. So I'm going to show you in another lecture today what those different myofascial lines are. And essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to take force and you're trying to dissipate it throughout your myofascial lines, and so that you really limit how much force is going through one joint, and so the whole body kind of takes up that force. It also gives joints freedom to move in all three planes of motion and improves total body awareness and coordination. And so when you think three planes of motion, hopefully you're starting to think, okay, that sounds like functional training, right? It includes exercises that vary in direction, in force, and speed. And so in many ways, myofascial training is another way to incorporate functional training with your clients. So when we talk about myofascial training, we're really talking about helping the myofascial net. And the myofascial net is an uninterrupted, so what that means is it doesn't ever stop, right? It's one kind of piece of, not material, but right, of our anatomy. Okay, so it's uninterrupted three-dimensional web of connective tissue and muscle. Again, I'll say that again, right? It's uninterrupted, it's three-dimensional, and it includes your connective tissue and your muscle.
The anatomy trains is a map of how the muscles connect through the fascial fabric of the body. In this way, it's similar to kinetic chains. It's also somewhat similar to the meridians in acupuncture, in Oriental medicine. But this is based on Western anatomy, and it's based on the direction of the fascial fabric of the body. The fascial fabric is what used to be called sinews. It's the sheets and strings and threads of the white gristly stuff that holds us together, gives the muscles its shape, and attaches them to the bones. Although the fascia goes all over the body through the organs and the brain and everywhere else, we're going to focus on the direction of this fabric through the muscles.
The whole connective tissue matrix is one single net. All the divisions you're about to see, all these different muscles and tissues and the anatomy trains themselves, are made with a knife to the single indivisible whole net. Please remember that as we start looking at all these parts. The fascia has a grain, just like fabric or wood, and we'll be tracing the grain of the fascia in this outer bag. A second major point in what we're doing here is that the muscles connect to muscles through the fascia. The books tell us that muscles just attach to bones, but look, the rhomboids are being pulled under the scapula by the serratus anterior, as they do when you put someone's arm behind their back. It's this muscles attached to muscles idea that really leads to the new treatment strategy proposed by anatomy trains. Dissecting out these anatomy trains involves one simple change in approach. We turn the scalpel sideways. Instead of cutting out each muscle, when we come to the attachment, we slide the scalpel in sideways under the attachment and maintain the fascial connection from one muscle to another. So, maintain a consistent fiber direction and maintain the fascial connection between the muscles, and voila, we have an anatomy train. You're about to see the connected, meaningful functional units that surround and position the skeleton in the continual dance of life.
Okay, so that was a short video on the different myofascial lines and how that works. Our next video is actually going to really dig deeper into each of those lines. But what I want you to get from that video and what I want you to get from this short lecture is that that myofascial net connects your entire body, right? So we often just think about things, muscles, kind of independently, but what it really shows you, and you could see that in that video as the guy kind of pulled on that myofascial net, you were able to see how the muscles moved, right? So you can see how these different pieces of the body connect via that myofascial net. So right now I just want you to think about what that myofascial net is, and write it down, and then go ahead and go back to your notes to see if you got it correct. All right, let's take a pause and look at our lines of the myofascial net.